Beneath the golden afternoon sun of San Diego, the grand lobby of the Imperial Crown Resort exuded a cold beauty, one that boasted exclusivity rather than welcome. Burgundy velvet curtains draped from the high ceiling, crystal chandeliers refracted light into thousands of sharp fragments, all conveying a silent message. This was the domain of those who belonged. Lana Whitaker, dressed in a perfectly fitting black suit bought from an ordinary store, wheeled her suitcase up to the reception desk. She was used to every eye in places like this, gliding over her, then stopping to assess every detail. From her non-designer shoes, naturally styled hair without elaborate treatments, to the handbag without any luxury logos. But the only thing on her mind now was checking into the royal suite she had booked and fully paid for 3 weeks earlier at $950 per night, all confirmed in writing. Behind the desk, Chloe Mitchell, a 25-year-old blonde with a practiced but seldom genuine smile, was busy typing, occasionally glancing at Lana as if serving her was an unwelcome interruption. Beside her stood Gregory Barnes, the 38-year-old front desk manager, tall and sharply dressed, his eyes flashing a hint of arrogance from someone accustomed to deciding who deserves special treatment. Lana waited quietly for a few minutes, without greeting or making eye contact. Only when she softly cleared her throat did Chloe look up and ask curtly, "Your name?" "Linda Wallace," Lana answered calmly, using a fake name. "I have a reservation for the royal suite." Chloe typed a few keys, then paused with a hesitant expression. "There is a reservation, but it seems there's an issue," she said, avoiding Lana's eyes. "What kind of issue?" Lana tilted her head, voice still soft but laced with caution. "The royal suite is no longer available. However, we can offer you a standard room at the same price." The offer sounded like a concession, but was in fact a brazen insult. Lana's brow furrowed slightly. "You mean I'd pay royal suite prices to stay in a standard room?" Before an answer could come, a deep male voice echoed from the lobby, instantly shifting the mood of both Chloe and Gregory. "Greg." "Great to see you again," Michael Draper, a man in his early 50s with salt and pepper hair and a navy suit, entered, carrying an air of power and wealth. Gregory immediately stepped forward to shake hands enthusiastically. Chloe gave a genuine smile, the kind Lana had yet to see since her arrival. "Your royal suite is ready, sir," Gregory said sweetly. Lana watched them, a cold shiver running down her spine as she realized the room she had booked and paid for long ago was about to be handed over to someone who had just arrived without prior reservation, simply because he was known and more deserving in their eyes. She stepped forward, voice calm but clear. "Excuse me, but that's the room I booked and paid for." Gregory turned back, eyes flashing irritation. "Ma'am? As I said, there was a booking issue." "There's no issue," Lana interrupted. "You're just taking my room to give to another guest." Draper glanced her up and down, a sneer briefly crossing his face. "I'm a platinum member here. I've been coming for 8 years. Lana held her gaze. "And I paid for that room 3 weeks ago." Chloe cut in confidently. "The room issue has been resolved, Mr. Draper. Your room is ready." Lana realized she was not just facing bias, but a smoothly operating system of discrimination. Then Draper pulled out a wad of bills from his jacket, sliding a few $100 notes toward Gregory, his eyes locked on Lana like a challenge. Gregory caught them and quickly hid the cash beneath the counter. "We'll arrange it immediately." When Lana accused, "That's a bribe to take my room," Draper raised an eyebrow. "I call it service assurance." Instead of resolving the matter, Gregory grabbed his radio and called security, citing a disruptive guest. 2 guards approached and stood on either side with indifferent looks. Lana understood this was the usual tactic. Public pressure to force the one who doesn't belong to leave. She refused to be removed, at least not yet. "I'll take the standard room," she said softly but firmly. Gregory smiled triumphantly. "At royal suite prices, of course." Lana nodded, clutching the key card for room 3117, the room next to the service elevator, known in the hospitality industry as the place for guests they want to push out. She wheeled her suitcase toward the elevator, her back straight, eyes cold. On her phone, the management team of Whitaker Hospitality Group received a brief message. "Discrimination confirmed. Continue remote monitoring. Situation worse than expected, worse than whole." And in Lana's mind, a plan was beginning to form. A plan that would turn today's calm afternoon at the Imperial Crown Resort into a storm they would never forget. 22 years ago, as a 20-year-old woman in Atlanta, Lana Whitaker could never have imagined that one day she would run a hotel empire spanning across the United States. Back then, her world was confined to the worn, carpeted hallways of a 3-star hotel, where she pushed a heavy housekeeping cart from morning till night, hands immersed in the scent of cleaning chemicals and the shrill noise of an old vacuum cleaner. As the daughter of a single mother, Lana learned early that life gives nothing for free. She worked morning and evening shifts, even took extra jobs at a small diner on weekends, just to pay the rent on a 1-bedroom apartment and provide for her meals. Yet even in those hardest days, Lana held within her something money could not buy, a keen eye and quiet determination. While cleaning mirrors in the suites, she observed how the front desk staff spoke to guests, how managers handled complaints, and, most importantly, how attitudes shifted based on skin color or clothing. She saw white couples upgraded for free to better rooms, while families of color were told no rooms available despite prior reservations. She heard whispered comments about undesirable customers and witnessed polite souls vanish because someone didn't look like the hotel wanted. Those moments etched deeply in her memory, fueling a quiet fire. Lana began borrowing books from the public library, reading about hotel management, customer service, and financial principles, while her colleagues took lunch breaks, chatting or complaining about difficult guests. Lana sat quietly in a corner, taking notes on occupancy rates, average revenue, and cost adjustments to maximize profit while maintaining quality. 3 years later, with savings from work and a small loan, Lana enrolled in evening classes for a business administration degree. By day, she still pushed the housekeeping cart. By night, she was a student determined to change her life's trajectory. When she received her diploma, Lana didn't just gain knowledge, but a vision. The hotel industry wasn't just about selling rooms and making money. It was about people. And if you treated every guest equally, they would return and bring others with them. Her first opportunity came when she heard about a small hotel in Savannah on the verge of bankruptcy. The owner, financially drained, was close to giving up. Lana boldly offered to manage the hotel, taking a percentage of profits instead of a fixed salary. It was a risky gamble, but she believed in her formula, hiring a diverse staff, setting non-discriminatory service standards, and creating an experience that exceeded expectations for all guests. 18 months later, the hotel became one of the most profitable in the region, praised for its welcoming atmosphere for everyone. From that foundation, Lana gradually expanded, acquiring or partnering with other hotels, each bearing her mark. Luxurious but non-discriminatory. By the 15th year, Whitaker Hospitality Group owned 50 hotels from New York to Miami, Seattle to Houston, all ranked among the top service providers. Yet Lana never forgot those old carpeted hallways. That memory kept her in a special habit. At least once a quarter, she would visit one of her hotels undercover, dressed plainly and using a fake name, to experience service as an anonymous guest. For her, it was more than quality control. It was a reminder that discrimination can creep in anywhere if leaders aren't vigilant. When rumors reached Lana about Imperial Crown Hotels, a chain of 15 once famous but declining hotels, she paid close attention. Industry insiders whispered about guests of color having reservations cancelled under vague excuses, employees accepting envelopes from regular customers to maintain standards, and senior managers turning a blind eye. To Lana, this wasn't just a business opportunity, but a challenge. The acquisition was carried out discreetly. Her lawyers set up a shell company, proceeding step by step so that Imperial Crown's current management remained unaware of the new ownership. The plan was clear. She would go to the flagship resort in San Diego, book the highest tier room, observe and document every behavior. If the rumors proved true, it wouldn't be just a reform. It would be a thorough cleansing to set an example for the entire industry. 2 days after closing the deal, Lana booked a royal suite in San Diego with her personal card, confirming under the name Linda Wallace. On paper, she was just an ordinary middle-aged black woman, traveling alone on business, unremarkable in every way. But in reality, she was the one who had just spent tens of millions to buy the entire hotel system, ready to prove that anyone who thought they had the right to discriminate would pay dearly. That afternoon, the San Diego coastline shimmered with silver under the sun, the breeze carrying the scent of salt and the faint fragrance of jasmine from the hotel's garden. Lana stepped out of a black taxi, pulling her compact suitcase behind her, composed like someone just finishing a long business trip. She wore a simple black suit, a soft leather bag without any prominent logos, and comfortable low-heeled shoes. Nothing about her appearance suggested she was a billionaire, the owner of a leading hotel group. Everything was carefully calculated. Today, she was not CEO Lana Whitaker. She was Linda Wallace, an ordinary guest. The grand lobby of Imperial Crown Resort greeted her with an ostentatious display. White marble floors with golden veins, glossy wooden paneled walls, and rows of deep red velvet chairs neatly aligned along the hallway. The sounds of laughter, rolling suitcases, and clinking glasses from the bar blended with smooth jazz music. But Lana knew that beauty could be a perfect veil, concealing what she was here to uncover. She approached the reception desk, where 2 employees stood behind a polished granite counter. Chloe Mitchell, a 25-year-old blonde with a carefully styled look and a perfected smile that rarely felt genuine, glanced at Lana briefly before returning her attention to the computer screen. Beside her was Gregory Barnes, a 38-year-old tall man in a fitted vest and carefully knotted dark blue tie, his face betraying no emotion but an icy confidence, accustomed to deciding who deserved preferential treatment. Lana stood waiting. 1 minute, then 2 passed. Chloe glanced at her, eyes lingering for just a second before returning to typing. Gregory pretended to be busy organizing folders, flipping pages. No greeting, no welcome, just indifferent silence. Finally, Lana cleared her throat softly. Chloe looked up, her voice flat. "Your name?" "Linda Wallace," Lana answered calmly, handing over her documents. "I booked the royal suite." Chloe typed for a moment, then frowned slightly. "The booking is there, but it seems there's a problem," she said, avoiding Lana's gaze. "What kind of problem?" Lana asked, calm but cutting. "The royal suite is no longer available. However, we can offer you a standard room at the same rate." The offer sounded like a concession, but was actually a blatant insult. Lana furrowed her brow. "You mean I'm paying royal suite prices for a standard room?" Before she could get a response, a man's deep voice came from behind. "Greg, long time no see." Michael Draper, a middle-aged man in a navy blue suit, his gold watch gleaming under the lights, approached. Gregory immediately stepped away from the desk, warmly shaking his hand. Chloe flashed a genuine smile, something Lana hadn't seen since she arrived. "Your royal suite is ready, sir," Gregory said sweetly. Every word and gesture made Lana realize immediately. The room she had booked and paid for long ago was now being transferred to a guest they deemed more deserving. She stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "Excuse me, but that's the room I booked and paid for." Gregory turned, his face showing a hint of annoyance. "As I explained, there's an issue with the booking." "No, you haven't explained anything," Lana interrupted. "You're giving my room to someone else." Draper looked her up and down, a contemptuous smile flickering. "I'm a platinum-level guest here. I've been coming for 8 years. Lana held his gaze. "And I prepaid for that room 3 weeks ago." Chloe interjected, now in service mode. "Mr. Draper, everything is ready for you." Then Draper pulled a stack of bills from his inner jacket pocket, sliding several $100 bills toward Gregory. The movement was swift, subtle, and loaded with implication. Gregory quickly hid the money behind the desk, as if it were routine. Lana stared directly at them. "That's a bribe." Draper shrugged. "I call it guaranteed service." No attempt at reconciliation. Gregory grabbed his talkie. "Security, please come to the lobby." 2 security guards approached, flanking Lana with indifferent looks. She recognized the tactic, to intimidate publicly and pressure the undesirable guest to leave. But leaving now would mean losing her chance to gather more evidence. She exhaled softly. "I'll take the standard room." Gregory smiled victoriously, eyes gleaming like a chess player who just won a game. At royal suite prices, of course. The keycard to room 317 was placed in her hand, a room right next to the service elevator, where the sounds of housekeeping carts and compressors would make sleep a luxury. Lana showed no emotion, nodded, and turned away. As she walked toward the elevator, she sent a brief message to Whitaker Hospitality Group's leadership. "Discrimination confirmed. Continue monitoring. Severity. Worse than expected." The elevator doors closed, reflecting the image of a woman who looked like any other traveler, but was in fact the new owner of this building, preparing for a renovation that could wipe out the entire current management in just 1 morning. Room 317 opened with a faint, musty smell. the kind luxury hotels often mask with essential oils or fresh flowers. Lana stepped inside, set down her suitcase, her eyes scanning the entire space. The carpet was stained and worn at the edges. The ceiling light flickered each time a breeze slipped through the window crack. Instead of a view of the ocean or pool, she saw only the grey concrete wall of the loading dock and a few industrial trash bins. Every few minutes, the rumble of the service elevator and the clattering of housekeeping carts echoed, reminding her this was not a room meant for guests to return to. Lana sat on the edge of the bed, pulled out her phone, and quickly jotted down details. Room location, next to service elevator. Constant noise. Worn-out furnishings. Poor view. She snapped photos of the carpet, lights, and window, sending them immediately to Thomas with the note. Service level contradicts paid room class. Thomas replied promptly, Received. Clear evidence. Continue monitoring. Deciding to call the front desk to report the room's condition, Lana picked up the landline. A young woman's voice, seemingly inexperienced, answered, Hello, front desk. How may I help you? Lana calmly listed the issues: flickering lights, dirty carpet, unstable air conditioning, and noise from the service area. The woman listened attentively, responding kindly. We apologize for the inconvenience, ma'am. I'll check if there are other rooms available. After a brief pause and muffled whispers over the receiver, her tone changed. I'm afraid this is the only room available for your booking type. Maintenance will address the issues when possible. Lana tilted her head slightly. Booking type? The woman stumbled. I meant online bookings. Discounted rates. But Lana knew. She heard the sudden shift in tone and guessed the invisible hand behind it. This wasn't mere negligence, but a deliberate system. The wheels of housekeeping carts rolling in the hallway pulled Lana out of her thoughts. Two voices echoed. Did you see what happened in the lobby? Yeah, another one demanding the royal suite. Greg handled it smoothly. A soft laugh followed. Lana clenched her phone tighter, opened a recording app, capturing every word. As footsteps faded away, she sent the audio file and a note to Eleanor, the chairwoman. Evidence. Staff confirmed Greg refusing guests to reserve rooms for regulars. Not stopping there, Lana decided to test the hotel's amenities. At the pool, a young staff member scrutinized her keycard longer than necessary before saying, The pool will close in 30 minutes, though the schedule showed 3 hours left. Nearby, 2 white guests entered without showing cards or receiving any reminders. At the restaurant, she was seated by the kitchen door despite most tables being empty. When requesting another table, the reply was, That's the only table left for walk-ins. Lana showed her email reservation confirmation, but the response was a reluctant nod, no apology. The day's climax came when Lana approached the concierge desk to inquire about local services. There, she met Jasmine Cole, a young woman around 28, with brown eyes reflecting hesitation. When no managers were nearby, Jasmine lowered her voice. I'm sorry about what happened in the lobby today. It wasn't right. Lana looked straight at her, sensing a rare sincerity. Does this happen often? Jasmine paused, sighed. More often than it should. Some guests, like Mr. Draper, have secret agreements with management. They're always prioritized, even if it means taking rooms from others. The brief conversation was enough for Lana to know she'd hit the core of the issue. Back in room 317, she opened her tablet and reviewed all the photos and recordings collected throughout the day. The picture was clear. from initial indifference, blatant favoritism toward regular guests, to subtle barriers limiting some groups' experiences. These were not isolated incidents. This was an organized system of discrimination. She sent a final message to leadership before bed. Discrimination system confirmed. Evidence across departments. We'll continue monitoring tomorrow, focusing on executive lounge and managerial interactions. Then Lana turned off the lights, lay on the firm bed, listening to housekeeping carts rattling in the hall, already plotting the next steps of her plan. Tomorrow, the closed doors of Imperial Crown Resort would reveal another layer of truth, and then the game would shift entirely into Lana's hands. The dawn in San Diego broke with soft golden light, filtering through thin curtains. But for Lana, last night was filled with the persistent noise of the service elevator and the clattering of carts. She had stayed awake almost all night, taking notes and organizing facts like a lawyer preparing for trial. On the desk, the printed email confirming her Royal Suite reservation lay neatly in her folder, a keycard yet to be played. Around 8 o'clock, Lana left room 317, dressed neatly yet maintaining the simple style of Linda Wallace. Her target this morning was the executive lounge, a space reserved for VIP guests, which, given her paid room category, she had the right to access and enjoy. The hallway leading to the 15th floor was quieter than other areas. Soft lighting, thick carpet, and expensive artwork hung along the corridor. At the lounge entrance stood a sharply dressed staff member named Marcus Hill, acting as a gatekeeper. Lana smiled lightly, showing him the email confirmation on her phone. "Hello, I'm Linda Wallace, Royal Suite guest, entitled to lounge access." Marcus glanced at the screen, momentarily puzzled, then replied, "Sorry, but this area is for VIP guests only." Lana kept calm. "I am a VIP. This is the hotel's confirmation, including lounge access." Marcus looked around, then lowered his voice. "I need to check with management." Before his vague reply finished, Lana heard a familiar laugh from inside. She leaned slightly and saw Michael Draper sitting at a table by the window, breakfast spread before him, a shimmering mimosa in hand. Draper noticed her, raised his glass in greeting, but his eyes held a challenge. Before Marcus could return, the 2 security guards from the previous day appeared at the end of the corridor. One said, "Ma'am, please leave this area." Lana asked bluntly, "Why? I have the right to be here." The other answered mechanically, "Miss..." Draper requested not to be disturbed during breakfast. Those words were an unhidden confession. A guest could decide who could and could not use amenities they'd paid for. Lana stood firm, staring into the guard's eyes. "Are you saying my rights, clearly stated in the booking contract, are voided just because of another guest's personal request?" Marcus intervened softly. "We need to keep our VIP guests comfortable." Lana realized this was a crucial moment. She didn't argue further, but stepped back, pulled out her phone, and walked toward the end of the corridor, where she could still see inside through the glass. Draper remained seated, his smug smile intact. Lana dialed the Whitaker Hospitality Board's emergency line. Eleanor answered immediately, her voice sharp. "What's the matter?" "We have clear evidence," Lana said briefly, "from room denial, open bribery, to blocking access to amenities. This system not only tolerates, but collaborates with discriminatory acts. I want to activate the plan immediately." On the other end, Jonathan Webb, legal counsel, interjected, We have sufficient grounds to sue under public accommodation discrimination laws. Lana replied, I want more. I want the entire management held accountable, and this case to serve as a warning across the industry. Thomas, always prepared, said, I can mobilize the transition team and legal department here by tomorrow morning. We can coordinate and announce on site. Lana nodded, eyes never leaving Draper through the glass. Do it, and remember to revoke Draper's membership privileges and ban him permanently from all our hotels. After hanging up, Lana returned to the elevator, knowing the power game had entered a new phase. This time, she held all the strongest cards. Draper might still be enjoying his mimosa, but in less than 24 hours, his world and those like him would change completely. The grand lobby of Imperial Crown Resort was still bustling on that mid-morning, with crystal chandeliers casting sparkling light across the marble floor, making everything look more glamorous and more artificial than ever through Lana's eyes. From the end of the hallway, she spotted Gregory Barnes standing by the front desk, leaning in to chat with a couple, his face glowing as if reunited with family. The way he tilted his head, the gentle pat on the man's shoulder, all a stark contrast to the cold attitude he showed her just the day before. Lana approached, her phone still recording. Mr. Barnes, she called out, making him turn with a practiced but slightly forced smile. I'd like to discuss my experience at the hotel. Gregory nodded, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Ms. Wallace, I hope room 317 met your needs. Are you referring to the room next to the service elevator, with stained carpet? Flickering lights, poor air conditioning, and a view of the garbage dump? Lana asked gently, her voice calm, but each word clear and deliberate. Gregory briefly lost his composure, but quickly regained it. Sometimes we need to make arrangements like this to ensure operational efficiency. Operational efficiency, Lana repeated, her eyes never leaving his. Is your way of justifying denying guests the rooms and amenities they've paid for while giving preferential treatment to certain people? Gregory glanced around and lowered his voice. You're misunderstanding. These are priorities for loyal customers who contribute significantly to our revenue. Lana tilted her head, still holding the phone toward him. Even if those priorities are secured with envelopes of cash. Gregory blinked, and in that moment his confidence cracked. I think this conversation should end here, he said firmly. Before Lana could respond, a family of 4 parents and 2 children around 8 and 10 approached the desk. They presented a confirmation for a family suite booking. Lana stepped back slightly, observing closely. She clearly saw the familiar script replayed. The receptionist checked for a moment, then gave an apologetic smile. Sorry, that room is no longer available. We can offer you 2 standard rooms instead. The father frowned. But we booked months ago and paid in full. Lana stepped forward, handing the father a plain business card without a title. If you can, please record all exchanges and contact me tomorrow. His eyes showed surprise and gratitude. Seeing this, Gregory approached, his voice louder than usual. Ms. Wallace, I ask you not to interfere with our operations. I'm not interfering, Lana replied calmly. I'm just encouraging guests to protect their rights. Their eyes locked, one fighting to maintain control, the other steadfast as a rock. Soon after, as Lana returned to the waiting lounge, Jasmine Cole approached, eyes quickly scanning the lobby to ensure no one was watching. Miss Wallace, Jasmine whispered, what you saw yesterday isn't the first time. Mr. Draper and some other guests have private deals with management. They pay cash to guarantee the best rooms and privileges. In return, other guests get pushed out or placed in inferior rooms. How long has this been going on? Lana asked. Jasmine replied, at least 2 years since I started here. Some people reported it to headquarters, but nothing changed. The management here is protected. Lana thanked Jasmine, then immediately sent a message to Jonathan Webb, legal counsel. Insider witness confirms bribery, discrimination, long-term practice. Prepare systemic lawsuit. The reply came within minutes. Sufficient grounds for immediate dismissal. Recommend early action. She glanced at the large clock hanging in the lobby. Less than 24 hours remained before everyone confidently walking through here would know who was truly behind this, and the price they'd pay for underestimating the woman they thought was an unsuitable guest. The next morning, the San Diego sky was clear blue, but inside the Imperial Crown Resort, the atmosphere was tense like a tightly stretched string. By 6 a.m., 7 black SUVs had quietly parked around the hotel. Men in dark suits, carrying briefcases, entered from various directions. None of the current management knew they were about to witness an unprecedented change. At 8:40 a.m., Lana left room 317, her face calm, but her eyes sharp as a blade. In the lobby, Gregory Barnes was busy on the phone, oblivious to the sudden arrival of unfamiliar faces. Michael Draper remained in the executive lounge, sipping coffee, confident that his morning would pass like any other. At exactly 9 a.m., the internal PA system announced, all staff please report immediately to the Grand Ballroom for an emergency meeting. Attendance is mandatory. Gregory frowned and whispered to the person next to him, I didn't arrange this. As the staff gathered in the Grand Ballroom, Lana entered, followed by Eleanor Grant, the chairwoman of the board, Jonathan Webb, the legal advisor, and Thomas Reed, the executive assistant. The room fell silent instantly, all eyes fixed on the woman they had labeled a troublesome guest just 2 days before. Eleanor spoke clearly. Imperial Crown Resort, along with the entire Pinnacle Hotel system, has officially been acquired by Whitaker Hospitality Group. Murmurs spread throughout the room. Jonathan continued, speaking crisply. We have evidence of discrimination, bribery, and serious violations of service protocols. Lana stepped to the podium, her gaze sweeping across the crowd. I am Lana Whitaker, chairwoman and CEO of this group. Over the past 2 days, I have experienced this place as a regular guest and witnessed firsthand what is happening. The large screen behind her lit up, playing footage of Draper handing money to Gregory, along with audio of blatant refusals to customers. The murmurs faded into heavy silence. Eleanor read out the immediate termination list. Gregory Barnes, Marcus Hill, along with 2 security staff involved. Jonathan handed out decisions to each, leaving no room for negotiation. Finally, Lana turned to Draper, who stood frozen. Your platinum membership is permanently revoked. You are banned from all our hotels. She ended with a concise but powerful statement. From today onward, every guest, no matter who they are, will be treated with absolute respect. 6 months after the Grand Ballroom became the stage for a historic overhaul, Imperial Crown Resort had transformed completely. The lobby was now flooded with natural light. the atmosphere welcoming rather than cold and ostentatious. New staff, carefully selected and trained according to Whitaker hospitality standards, greeted guests with genuine smiles. A prominent sign at the front desk boldly stated, "Every guest is a valued guest, regardless of background, skin color, or appearance." Lana returned to the hotel, this time not under the guise of Linda Wallace, but officially as the owner. She walked slowly down the hall, her eyes scanning every detail, from staff helping a family arrange their luggage to the receptionist, patiently explaining procedures to an elderly foreign couple. There were no more scrutinizing looks, no more cold voices dismissing guests who didn't fit the old standard. In a small meeting room behind the lobby, Jasmine Cole, now assistant director, presented a report. Guest satisfaction had reached its highest level since the hotel opened. Revenue increased by 32% compared to the same period last year. As Lana entered, Jasmine smiled, her eyes shining with unhidden pride. "We've done it, Ma'am," Jasmine said. "It's not just about numbers, but about the feeling of being welcomed and respected." Lana nodded, her gaze distant as she recalled the 2 chaotic days that had changed an entire system. "When I began this work," she said slowly, "I knew that profit and ethics don't have to be opposed. A truly strong hotel is a place where everyone, staff and guests alike, feels valued." That afternoon, in the main lobby, Lana spent time talking with guests. A middle-aged couple from New Orleans shared that they chose Imperial Crown after hearing about the reforms. A young entrepreneur from Tokyo said he was impressed because the staff treated him like an old friend, even though it was his first visit. For Lana, these stories were more precious than any statistic. Before leaving, she stood at the entrance, looking once again at the message board. In her heart, she knew this was not just her victory, but a message sent to the entire hotel industry. Discrimination, no matter how subtle, can be exposed and eliminated. And when that happens, the result is not only justice, but also a solid foundation for lasting success. From the perspective of an expert in management and corporate restructuring, Lana Whitaker's story shows that upholding respect and fairness is not only a moral duty, but also a smart business strategy. A brand can lose its reputation in moments of mistake, but it can also build lasting trust by putting human dignity at its core. Lana has proven that eliminating discrimination does not reduce profits. On the contrary, it opens the door to customer loyalty and long-term growth. If you believe that every customer deserves equal treatment, please hit like and subscribe to help spread these values. And before you leave the video, leave a comment with the word respect, so together we can send a powerful message to the world.